Okay, thank you so much, Alexia, for that. Really appreciate it. Let me just get my mic in a better place. Okay. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Let me know. Let me know how the sound is. Good. Thank you again, Alexia. So, guys, here is a very long story made longer about everything that has happened from the last time that I streamed. I want to say it was last Monday, this past Monday. Bernie had gotten up and he was really, really feeling worse than ever before. You guys know he was discharged from the hospital on Sunday. And there were lots of problems that happened during the hospital stay. Lots of stories I could tell you that were very, very, very distressing. there were situations where I had to ask for a different patient care technician. I'll tell you that story in a little while. And a nurse that I didn't feel comfortable with putting in a catheter into him again, so I asked for somebody else. Pain management doctors who were supposed to order him medication to go home with and never followed through with that. Blood cultures that were supposed to be done and called to us with results, and I've left countless messages and haven't gotten callbacks about that either. But I'll tell you that in a little bit. So basically what happened was on Monday, he woke up. Yeah, it gets worse, Kaizen, unfortunately. He woke up and he was really feeling lousy. And they discharged him on Sunday, and he did not have a fever at that point in time. Every other day that he was in the hospital, he had a fever. And it was, the highest it went was about 101. And throughout, it was like 100.4, 100.5, 100.8, 100, that kind of stuff. And typically, the standards for keeping somebody in the hospital now is 100.4, at least out here where we live. So on Monday, he had the fever. I think it was like 100.5 at home, something like that. But a lot of other things started happening that never happened before. He became incontinent of bowel and bladder. And he got up out of the bed, with great difficulty. And out of nowhere, he started peeing all over the bedroom floor. And I was like, dear God in heavens, what is happening here? This has never happened to him his entire life with any surgery. And then I saw on the bed, he unfortunately had an accident there too. And he was really, really not at all doing well. And I was like, you know what? Something very bad is happening now. I don't know if it's a relapse. I don't know if it's a rebound. I have no idea what it is, but we're going back to the hospital. So thank God we didn't have to call an ambulance, got into the car and took him back to the hospital. And we had a 10.5 hour wait in the emergency room before we were able to get a room back on the same floor that he was just discharged on from the day before. So they did a whole bunch of tests, and a couple of other things recently happened that we're really unsure of what that is as well, is that his left foot really swelled up very badly. His toes and his whole foot swelled up. And he had no control over the bowel and bladder, especially the bladder. So eventually in the emergency room, they put in a catheter. They did what was called a bladder scan, and they saw that he had a liter's worth plus of urine in his bladder that was stored. And he just couldn't, he didn't even feel the sense of the need to pee. No urgency, no pressure on the bladder, absolutely nothing. And there's a liter of fluid in there. That's a tremendous, tremendous amount of urine. So they catheterized him, and it just wouldn't stop pouring out big time. And that provided him, thank goodness, with some relief. He still had the fever, and they took blood tests, and that came back negative. They did a sonogram of his bladder. That came back negative. They didn't really know at the point what the deal was with the foot, and why all of a sudden he started swelling up. So, of course, he was admitted, and we pretty much had a couple of the same round of nurses that we had the first time around. The first time around was better than this time around. I think these people kind of gave us the impression like, they're a bunch of pain in the asses coming back here all the time. That's the feeling that we were getting, like, oh God, here we go again with them. And we had this one, they call them now, years ago, they used to call them aides. Then they started calling them nursing assistants. Then they started calling them technicians. Now they have a different title, patient care technicians. PCT is what they're called out here. And back in the day, when I was performing nursing and when I did home care and when I worked in the hospital, the techs, however you want to phrase them, as the assistants to the nurses, did all the stuff that the nurses just really didn't have time to do, like make the beds and change the sheets and bathe the patients and give them water and give them ice and do the vital signs and attend to their needs and, serve them their food tray and ask them if they needed any help with cutting up their meals and ask them if they needed help with, drinking their water, or if they needed anything. That was the purpose. Right, CNAs is what, maybe they're still called that, back in other states. I don't know what they're called in New York now, but out here in Florida, they're called patient care, HCAs, home care aides, right. That's what they were called from the home care division. But here we were in the hospital, so they weren't called home care aides. They were called nurses' aides or nursing assistants. And so this girl comes in, young girl, probably in her early 20s or so. And I'm a big advocate on, I just have to see what this all is, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this girl comes in and she's in her early 20s or so, and she does not knock on the door. She just walks into the room. And I am a big advocate for patient privacy and patient confidentiality. And you just don't walk into somebody's room. That is like the hugest of no-nos. It's very rude. It's like walking into somebody's home without ringing the doorbell first or knocking on the door. It's just not polite. You don't do that. It's not your domain. This is the patient's room, the patient's quarters, the patient's living space for now. So you knock on the door and you wait until you're told that you can enter. Just a matter of simple RESPCT, right? Just a little bit of respect. So this girl walks in without knocking. And the typical salutation, as it always used to be back in the day, hello, Mr. Katzman. My name is, I'm going to be your patient care technician today. Is there anything I can do for you or anything I can get you right now before I do my vitals or before I make your bed, which they don't do. I made the bed. Or before I do whatever I need to do. Is there anything I can do for you first? Prioritization. Letting the patient know that you're there for them. Letting the patient know you're meeting their needs, whatever those needs may be that you may not be aware of. That's what you're getting paid for, darling, right? So you come in, you don't knock, you don't introduce yourself, you don't tell us what your name is, you don't tell us what your title is, and you don't refer to the patient by his name. And you walk over with a face like you look like you hate the world, you look like you hate the job, you look like you hate life. What the fuck is wrong with you? Who is your supervisor? Who is the one watching what you're doing, and who's accountable besides you for your actions? So Bernie was eating a pancake. It was early morning time for breakfast. And Bernie was eating a piece of pancake. And he just said to her, you know, I need to go to the bathroom, because at that time he didn't have the catheter yet. And she said something like, well, you're eating now, so I guess I'll take care of somebody else and come back later. Instead of saying, of course, Mr. Katzman, whenever you're finished eating, let me know. If you'd like me to come back in a few minutes, just ring the call bell and let me know when you're ready to go to the bathroom, and I'd be more than happy to assist you. But you speak to him like that? So Minerva, of course, came out. And, you know, Minerva was kind of ready to come out as soon as she walked in without knocking on the door. But, you know, I've learned to curtail myself when need be, especially at Bernie's health expense. I'm going to calm down a little bit. But this already took the cake and threw Minerva out the window. So I said to her, I said, you know, it really wouldn't be a bad idea if you smiled a little bit, and if maybe you made your patient feel a little bit comfortable. And just at that time, the nurse walks in. And I said to the nurse, I need to speak to you now. And I said to her, I told her exactly what transpired with this tech or with this aide, or whatever her scenario is. And I said, this is what's happened from the time this girl walked into my husband's room, and under no circumstance is she going near him, and is she touching him, and does she have anything to do with him or me throughout his hospitalization. And what really got to me is she didn't look surprised at all. And she kind of like gave me a nod, like maybe she's heard this before from other people, maybe not as adamant as I made it sound, because I said, I'm ready to talk to your charge nurse and your supervisor and whatever it takes, but she's not going near him. And instantaneously, we got somebody else. But I hope this girl got fired, because she should not be working in a healthcare industry. She could be working in a Wawa store, in a gas station or something like that, where communication with people, yeah, sure, it's important, but not when you're talking about sick, debilitated, disabled people that are dependent on others to meet their needs. Absolutely despicable and disgusting. Just disgusting. Hiya there, Gnome. So that was number one. Then we had another situation. This nurse was really making me nervous. And I don't know if maybe, she had a condition of some sort. I don't think it was like Tourette's or anything, but I don't know if she was nervous. And of course, Bernie tells everybody there that I'm a nurse, so they know that I know what I'm talking about, and you're not just talking to a layman idiot who doesn't understand things and who just agrees with everything you say. And so after every word, this girl, she was very young too, after every word, she kept saying, okay, 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 okay. And, if she has a condition, I certainly understand that, but it's very disturbing, and it makes a patient or a family member feel a little bit on the uncomfortable side after a while. And she was going to be the one to put the catheter into him. And he's very sensitive when it comes to catheterization. He doesn't he's not comfortable. Nobody's comfortable, but he's sensitive there. And we like a job to be done 1, 2, 3, real quick with an expert. And I didn't trust that she was going to be able to do that. So I just said very diplomatically, he's got great sensitivity, and I'm not quite sure how many of these you've done before, but I really would appreciate. And one other thing that happened is she brought in another nurse with her in case she needed help. And she started off the introduction that she was going to be putting the catheter in, but that she brought this male nurse in who we've had before that was wonderful in case she needed help. So to me, that was another red flag. We don't need Bernie to be your guinea pig. That's not going to happen. If other people are fine with him, God bless them, go right ahead. But we're not doing that. We're not at all doing that with Bernie and down there. So I said, I really hope you don't take offense to this, but I want this guy to be doing it. I don't want you to do it. And there was like a minute's pause and nobody said a word. She didn't respond and neither did the male nurse. There was like a dead, real awkward silence. But then he agreed to do it, and then she said, okay. So thank God that went well. And then we had a situation where he was supposed to be discharged on Percocet because the oxycodone really upsets his stomach very badly. And there were very few other options. And then once we got home, I absolutely, Kaizen, no question. Patient Bill of Rights, 1,000%, for whatever the reason may be. And you don't even have to give a reason. If a patient is not comfortable with a nurse or doesn't like a nurse or doesn't like the way they're being handled or doesn't trust the nurse for whatever reason, whatever, Patient Bill of Rights, you can request a change, 100%. So I get to the pharmacy. And I think he must be on 26 pills a day now, morning, noon, and night, without exaggeration, not including all the pain medications and pain patches that he has to take. So I get to the pharmacy and I'm like seeing bags and bags and bags of medicine. And I'm like, oh, dear God, where is this all coming from? And then I asked the pharmacist to go over each one of them with me, so I was sure, because many of them have trade and generic names, so I knew what was what. And then there's no Percocet. So I said, what's the deal with the Percocet? I don't see it here. So then the pharmacist looked it up and said that was never called in. And I'm like, this is just great. It's already Monday evening. The pharmacy's soon to close. And the person from pain management is going to be long way gone. So now he's not going to have pain medicine Monday night. Tuesday morning, I call. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting my days confused. No, he was in the hospital from Monday through Thursday. This happened on Friday. Thursday night, I got the medicine. Friday is when I called. That's right. So Friday, I call, and then I'm told that the pain management at the hospital can't order it. That has to be ordered by the surgeon because it's Percocet. I don't understand that. Why can you order oxycodone, but you can't order Percocet? They're both opioids. What's the damn difference? We can't do that. So now I'm calling the surgeon, and of course it's already Friday, and here Friday at noon, everything closes down. Nobody's in a doctor's office, and everybody goes home for the weekend. So now I'm like, this is great. Now all weekend long, he's not going to have the medicine. Then, prior to discharge, I was talking with the social worker. And I think the social worker was the worst one I've ever seen in all my years of nursing experience, because all she was doing is telling me everything that we were not entitled to and everything that our insurance won't pay for. And I'm like, I don't understand this. He's going home with a Foley catheter. He needs a skilled nurse. I'm his wife. Doesn't matter if I'm a nurse or not. That's not my job to be taking care of his tubing and his catheter as well. That's a nurse's job. Insurance pays for that, and I know it does. But no advocacy at all. Okay, I'll order the nurse with that kind of affect. And then I was saying, the therapy we had, that was already ordered. What about occupational therapy? Getting him stronger from the waist up, because he hasn't been using those muscles for 2 weeks now. I don't know. Well, I'm like, I do. You need to order that too. Then we get into the whole business again with an aide coming here. And she's just absolutely matter of fact that he doesn't qualify for that. And that all the aide would do would be come here and give a shower and leave. They don't do any of the things that I'm seeking for them to do. That's all private pay. And that with his condition and his diagnosis, he doesn't qualify for that. And then she gives me the name and number of a private agency to call. I'm like, I know these agencies. I don't want that. I can't afford to pay $45 an hour for somebody to come here and give him a bath. I don't need that. So then I called the agency anyway, and the first thing they say, of course, is we don't take insurance. So I just said, okay, and hung up. And that was the end of that. So that's just a little preliminary introduction into all of the negativities about the care that he received here. That's just the beginning. Anyway, his condition at present. Yesterday, he had the fever again. Friday, yesterday, I was calling the infectious disease doctor's office because we never got the results of any of his blood cultures. They did a COVID test, they did a strep test, they did a flu test, they did an RSV test. Everything came back negative. He had a slight elevated white blood cell count, but that's normal after surgery, of course, but nothing to be greatly concerned about. And they're not calling me back. I called at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I called again mid-afternoon. Then I called again at 3 o'clock, leaving message after message after message. Detailed message. I need to know, did these results even come back yet? Not a single solitary call back from anybody. So I don't know. And there's no way else I can find out. So yesterday he was in bad shape. Really, really bad shape. He was sleeping throughout the entire course of the day. And one other thing that's also happened is that his skin is peeling off from his face. Why, I don't know, but he's got really bad excoriation all over his forehead, all over his cheeks, all over his chin and his neck, and he's very red in the face as well. And I asked when we were in the hospital if dermatology, a skin doctor, can come and evaluate him. I said, he's never had skin problems before. I have no idea what this is all about. We don't have that service available. You don't have a skin doctor in a hospital this big? Nope. You have to do that privately when he's discharged. I said his skin is peeling off his body. We need moisturizer. We need aloe vera. We need, we need something. It's going to start to really pain him. So they ordered some cream. So then yesterday, he could not get up. He's using the walker in the house. He's using, of course, the wheelchair outside. And he just could not stay up. And he's supposed to be drinking water constantly. And you can tell if he's dehydrated because his urine is very dark if you don't drink enough. It's very concentrated. If you don't drink enough water, that's what's going to happen. And he's supposed to get up and walk 5 minutes every hour. and he's supposed to use what's called the incentive spirometer. It's a little device that you breathe into a tube so it expands your lungs so you don't get pneumonia after surgery. And he just couldn't do it. And I was like going crazy because he needs to do it. Otherwise, he's going to get sicker and sicker. And he just didn't have the ability to do it at all. So, physical therapy was supposed to come yesterday. And they called me up, and I actually sent them a message before telling them that, he's got a fever, first and foremost. And of course, she said we have to cancel because she can't come into somebody's house who's sick, who's infected, and then bring those germs and bacteria to her next patient's house. It would be the total wrong thing to do, unethical completely, and unsafe and poor practice. So she said to me, tell me what's going on. So I told her. And then she said to me, I really think you need to take him back to the hospital. If he's still running a fever, at that point it was 100.4. She said, anything can happen at any point in time. You really need to take him back. And I was just like, I can't. And I meant it. I said, I just can't do it. I've been there with him every single day, 24 hours a day, sleeping in a chair, begging for a blanket, just with lousy care, and they're not doing anything for him. They discharged him on antibiotics pills. When he was in the hospital, he was getting antibiotics IV intravenously, and they were doing nothing different than what I could do for him at home. And he couldn't take being back there anymore, and neither could I. Certainly, if I saw it was a situation where it was a life and death or a dire emergency, or it was something cardiac, heart related, of course I would. But this time I said, I just can't do it again. I said, I'll watch him over the weekend and we'll see where it goes. And everything I was told to do regarding all the discharge instructions is what we'll do. And we'll take it from there. So then she called me a few more times throughout the day. Are you going to take him? Are you going to take him? And I just kept saying, no, not yet. We're going to just wait and see. Thank goodness today he doesn't have fever. And hopefully he doesn't develop it later on in the day. Usually around 3 or 4 o'clock, like mid-afternoon, it tends to spike. Not quite sure why, but it does. So we'll see what happens today. But my goal is to wait until Monday and hopefully speak to the surgeon and see what we can do or what the recommendations are that we need to follow. It has been an insane whirlwind, far superseding any other health experience we've had with him throughout 39 years of marriage. This has been the all-time worst in every which way imaginable. And the other thing is that he has to be on these pain patches. He's supposed to be on 4 patches a day. Each patch, he gets 1 on each side of the surgical site. So 2 every 12 hours. 4 patches per day, 7 days a week, 28 patches per week. That lands up costing $600 for the month, none of which is covered by insurance, not a penny. So I spoke to the nurse and I said, listen, do these patches really make a difference? Does this really work? Or is it just something to add to it in the event that he needs it? And she says, no, that's what was ordered, that's what he has to have. And I even asked her, it kind of surprised me a little bit that I had the balls to ask her. But I said, can you give me a few samples so we could try it for an extended period of time to see whether or not it makes a difference? And then when we run out of it, see if he feels a difference. Oh no, I can't do that. If those patches were accessible to me, I would have said, you know what? I'm going to take 2 and see if it works. But of course, that's not an option, and you can't do that. If the nurse says you can't get samples, you simply can't. Plus the fact that he's got this catheter, and the catheter has to be emptied, and he can't do that. He can't do what's called no BLTs. No bending, no lifting, no twisting, no turning, no doing at all. Until he sees the doctor, the surgeon, sometime next week, because they didn't call me back yet for an appointment yet either. And then we find out what the outcome is, what the status is, and what we, part of it is, Alexia, yeah, what degree he can and cannot perform his daily activities of life moving forward, and when he can. No idea when that's going to be. Absolutely no idea. So it's just, I really can't find the words to express this situation right now. It's just really impossible. He's got to be in a certain position in bed. And, you know, when you're in the hospital, you have a hospital bed. So, of course, you can raise this button and raise that button, or lower it and make it more conducive for your comfortability, whether it be your legs, whether it be your butt, whether it be your head. But here, you know, you're in a regular bed, so you can't do those things. So you have to be propped up with pillows, and, you know, you've got to make all kinds of improvisations, if you will, in order to find the best level of comfortability that's possible, which is not an easy task. So long and short of the story, that is the story. He had started really screaming to the point that I didn't know what was happening when the pain threshold got too much. If I was in the bathroom, or I was taking a shower, or I was in the kitchen or in another room, and all of a sudden I'm hearing these screams, I said to him, and it was because he was in pain, I said to him, you simply can't do that. I said, you know, I don't know what's happening when you're screaming this way. You've got to come up with another sound, because you're going to give me a heart attack. Another sound when you're in pain, so I know that that's the pain sound, and not that something's really happening to you of detriment. So he came up with a high C sound or something, that every time he is in pain, we now have a communication of what that sound sounds like. And it's terrible. It's just horrifically horrible. And that is the story. I streamed a couple of times, you know, from the hospital when I could, letting people know also what was going on. Thank everybody who joined me then, and to those who, of course, helped out on the GoFundMe. But you guys do know, I've told you, you know, prior to now, but really emphasizing now, pain patches alone is what we appreciated, Kaizen. Pain patches alone for the month, $600. Plus the pain medications, and plus all the medications that he is on top of that. They've got him on steroids now because of the swelling in his legs. They have him on anti-inflammatories now because of the swelling in his legs. They have him on antibiotics now because of the Foley catheter. They have him on every vitamin imaginable that you can possibly think of. They have him on blood pressure medication now. They have him on heart medication now. He's back on his blood thinners now. And now they have him on all this urinary medication to prevent urinary spasticity and to prevent him from distending because he's on the Foley catheter. So before he was on a handful of medications. Now we're on 4 handfuls of medications and 4 feetful of medications. And there are extraordinary, extraordinary expenses to meet all of these needs. And the last time when we were still home, before his discharge, before he went back into the hospital, I knew that the cost of everything was going to bleed us. But I had no idea that all of these other problems were going to arise. All of these other medical obstacles were going to happen. This was not in the plan. This was not what was supposed to be, and this is not what was expected. And of course, you always have to expect the unexpected and always think on the worst side of things. What if this? What if that? What if the other? When we go on Tuesday to the urologist, I'm going to ask her to do a kidney scan and see. I don't know if they even did tests on his kidneys. I know they did on his bladder and they said everything was fine, but I'm not even sure if that was done or not, and need to make sure that nothing happened since he had the surgery on his kidneys. And why can't he pee? And now, hopefully, the urologist is going to take the catheter out on Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have to wait there for a few hours, give him a bunch of water to drink, and see if he can pee. And then if he can't, she's going to have to put it back in. And then I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. You know, people live, of course, with Foley catheters, but that would be a really sad, horrific story. That would be really bad for many reasons. We just have to pray that that doesn't occur and that this is just a temporary setback as a result of the surgery and as a result of him being an older man, and his healing process takes much longer than somebody significantly younger than him. And hopefully his bladder just needs a rest. I don't know. We'll have that answer for sure, I would hope, on Tuesday. It's not Aiden. Bernie had to go in for very extensive surgery on his spine. He had 4 surgeries in one. He was in the hospital for about 5 days, and then they discharged him, and then he had a very bad setback. And now he was back in the hospital again for 4 more days and just discharged again on Friday. And he's in a lot of pain, and he can no longer urinate, so he's got a catheter in him, and he can't do a thing. All he can do is sit in the bed or sit on the couch and lie back, and that's it. That's all he can do. He can't go to the bathroom. He can't go to the bathroom because he's got a tube in him. He can't play. He can't cook. He can't drive. He can't do anything. He is 100% dependent. And it just is really, really, really horrible. Very sad, very distressing, very depressing, really very difficult, very, very, very difficult to believe that all this has happened, to actually sit back and think about what's happened over the past 2 weeks. And yeah, things were really bad before, where he was in dire straits of pain in his back. Absolutely. But now, now he's in a vegetative state, not his mind, but his body. And now, even though it hurt before, now he can't do a thing. So we just have to hope and pray that over time it heals, over time it gets better, and over time we don't say, my goodness gracious, why did I let him do this? I had no choice, you know. He's got free will and he couldn't take it, and he said his quality of life in pain was horrible and he had to do it. So we have to hope that in due time, as I said before, things get better. Better surely than they are right now. That's a big prayer and a big hope, and something that we desperately, desperately, desperately need. And on the note of what we desperately need, we need help. We need support. We really do. I have been, preparing, as I said, for this as soon as I knew that the surgery was scheduled. We've had our goal up there, for a long time, and we're not even halfway at that goal. And, well, sort of halfway, yeah. And we've got a really long way to go. And I have to know that we're going to have the needs that we need to have, the funds that we need to have, at least for the next month for him to get recuperated. And we absolutely need your help. We need your help like you can't even imagine. I don't think anybody can truly imagine how badly we need your assistance. No matter what that may be, $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever it may be, now is the time that we so are relying on you guys to help us get through this next month. The most crucial month is this month now throughout this entire recovery process. Because without it, he just won't recover the way in which he needs to. We have to have it. So on that note, guys, I'm going to play a little bit of music for you. And please ask, if you can, please make a donation.
I know it's not much but anything to help. Was here the day you arrived on Twitch and you've brought us all so much joy. Prayers are with you from myself in the United Kingdom heart.
Thank you
I
so
know it's not much but anything to help. Was here the day you arrived on Twitch and you've brought us all so much joy. Prayers are with you from myself in the United Kingdom heart.
Thank you so much, Aiden. Guys, I really cannot emphasize how important it is for you to know that it has nothing to do with how much. $10 is a very generous donation of support and kindness. It's never an issue of the amount. It's the issue of, I've had this something terrible in my eye all day, guys, excuse me. It never has to do with how much. It just has to do with doing. Just doing something makes all the difference in the world. Just doing something. $10 gets him an extra pill, an extra patch moving forward. It makes such a difference. And, you know, I'm very fortunate that today and tomorrow I have our younger son is home with us this weekend. My older one is working, and I have him here. He came here yesterday, and he's been with us for a number of days. He's with us every day throughout the week, and he's here all day today, all night tonight, all day tomorrow, all night tomorrow night. And then he's got to go back to work on Monday. And then it's just going to be me, myself, and I, where both my sons are working and I'm doing the job of 20 people. And it's not easy to do. One person managing a completely disabled man. It's very difficult. You know, it's very, very difficult because I'm also doing the nursing skills. I'm changing his urinary catheter every hour, every 2 hours, making sure that's clean and sanitary, making sure that the house is clean for him, that he doesn't get any bacteria near him, any infection near him, making and preparing all of his meals, shopping, cleaning, cooking, taking care of all of his medications, dispensing all of his medications, doing his dressing changes. It's like there's just, and taking care of Samantha, who no longer can walk herself. Thank you so much, Wu. Really thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. Samantha, she's got spinal problems too. Many of you know that. And we actually had to board her, which was another additional expense. We had to put her in the vet one day overnight because nobody was going to be home. And she can't stand anymore, so she couldn't eat and she couldn't drink. So I said, okay, we got to bring her to the vet. So we brought her to the vet, and then they called me up the following morning that she was so terribly, terribly homesick that she would not eat or drink. And they were worried about, taking care of her if she wasn't going to maintain her livelihood there. So my son went and picked her up and brought her home, and then my other son came home and took care of her. But now, when I take her out, I have to carry her and hold her outside. I've got to feed her with a paper plate close to her mouth so she doesn't have to stand. She does it while she's sitting, and the same with the water. So on top of taking care of Bernie, 24/7, I've got Samantha here too. And, as I've told you time and time again, we don't have any extended care. We don't have anybody out here to help us. So it's just me. It really is. Aside from, a little bit of respite from our kids, it's just me. And it's really hard. It's really, really hard because, I too am not 30 years old anymore. And I've got my own medical issues too. As many of you know, I'm diabetic. And so it's real hard if I'm going low and Bernie's got to get up out of the bed and I've got nobody here to help me. It's a problem. There are lots and lots of complications involved. And, you know, as much as we can do for him to get him up and out and better, physical therapy hopefully will come and start again on Monday. That's the goal, as long as he doesn't have fever, to get him stronger. But everything else that we need to do for him, we have to have done. Have to have it. Absolutely have to have it. And I hate to say, but I'm going to say, I beg you to help. It's not my nature to beg people, but we're talking about Bernie. We're talking about our Bernie. We're not just talking about, you know, somebody that nobody knows. We're not talking about somebody who has not made a difference in everybody's life throughout the world. We're not talking about a piece of dust. We're talking about a man who loves to give. We're talking about a man who loves to make other people happy. We're talking about a man who has made hundreds of thousands of people joyful in their worst of moments and in their worst of times, and only looks to make others pleased and enjoy the time spent together. And if we don't meet this goal, that's never going to happen again. I'm going to come right out and say it. If we don't meet this goal, we are not going to get there. So we have to. We have to. And you guys, you have to help me. Listening to him play really forces me, pushes me, encourages me to say, I got to keep going with this. I've got to keep talking to you. I've got to be able to reach you guys because I've got to get him back to this piano. It's like a person not having food, a person not having water, a person not being able to take another breath, for him not to get strong enough to be able to walk into this room and sit again at that piano. Him not being able to do that is taking away his entire life, his entire existence, his complete identity, who he is, wiped right out of the system, right out of your guts. I can't do this anymore. Okay, no big deal. It's not like, oh, okay, I just developed an allergy to eggs, so I can't eat them anymore. Big deal. Oh, well, you know what? My blood pressure's high, so I got to take some caution on how much salt I eat. Oh, I just got diabetes, and guess I can't have sugar anymore. Okay, we'll find a solution. Taking away the ability for him to play because he's not strong, because he doesn't have the energy, the capacity, the physical ability because of this surgery. We have to encourage that he's going to be able to do this again, that he is going to rehabilitate, that he is going to play again. And in doing so, we have to meet all the needs that's going to help him get there. Not a matter of a hospital, not a matter of a doctor, not a matter of this, not a matter of that. It's a matter of everything. We need that whole bowl of soup. All those ABCs in the alphabet. We need all of them in order to get him back to those keys. And we need to reach this goal to make that happen. And I'm not going to stop until we do. And I hope you guys don't as well. see we've got some people in chat that haven't come on out to say hi, people that we haven't seen in a while, actually. So I want to say hello to all of those people. One of which I saw a couple of seconds ago was Cookie Dough, who I haven't seen in a really long time. Would be nice if you came on out and said hi. I'd love to talk to you, see how you're doing. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Yep, we're doing the best we can, old. Doing the best, but best we can. Doing the best we can. And not easy. Not easy at all. But we are just trying to do what we can do. And that's pretty much all that we can do. We just have to hope that things get better over time. That's got to be our goal. That's our mission. That it gets better every day. No infections that came out. So, guys, that's my update for today. I want to thank everybody that joined me today, and anybody who does watch the VOD, the very same. Please share the stream with those of people that you know that might be interested, and anybody who might be able to give a helping hand. That would be really wonderful as well. A really important message to always remember is that nobody ever knows what tomorrow's going to bring for the next person. And nobody ever knows what or where life's going to take you in the future. Whether that future might be a minute from now, an hour from now, the next day, the next month, the next year, the next, hiya there back, the next 50 years, the next 25 years, or a lifetime. Nobody ever knows what the next second is going to bring. But one thing that I really, really want to leave you with that is so important is that everybody, majority of people out there, need somebody. There's a song with those words, not quite sure what song it is. Bernie would know that. But everybody needs somebody at some point in time. And you should never forget that. Whether it be a family member or a friend or a complete stranger that you know even through a screen. And you would always want to know that that other person will be there for you if the tables ever turn. Because nobody is ever guaranteed 100% throughout a lifetime. So if you're contemplating and saying, you know, I don't know, she comes on here and she's always asking for donations because her husband's always sick or he's always having surgery or he's always in a crisis or whatever the situation may be, you never know when that may happen to you or a loved one too. And when you may need something from someone. So before wiping out the idea of, oh no, I'm not going to help, or oh no, I don't want to help, or oh no, you know, that's asking too much, just think about how you would feel if you were in Bernie's shoes. Think about how you would feel if it was your spouse, or if it was your mother or your father. Thank you, Beck. Or if it was your child, or anybody. That's right, the big circle of life. Absolutely. Absolutely, the big circle of life. Nobody is guaranteed life in its fullest, in its full protection, without anything happening at any point in time. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Alexia. Everybody needs somebody sometimes. That's right. That's the song. And I have been stressing for so long. Unfortunately, Bernie's been a sick man, an older man, and has had lots and lots of problems, lots of medical problems. And and we've reached out to you guys. So to those of you that don't like it, then surely this is never going to be the stream for you to come to, because we're an all-inclusive stream. We're an all-inclusive family. You come here, you hear the good, you hear the great, you hear the bad, and you hear the worst. Because more IRL than the Piano Impro Man stream doesn't exist anywhere in the face of the earth. You've been through the best and the worst of times with us. And so many of you, thank you, Beck, have been sticking by us from the very beginning, almost 11 years now. And now I say almost in a very different way. I really do. And I never thought that I would even contemplate saying anything like that. Because it's always, you know, until the next year, until, you know, we reach number 15, we reach number 10 that we just passed, you know. But now, with what's happening, I'm not so sure. Because in order for that to happen, we got to get them better. And we need to do that sooner than later. Yeah. He is strong-willed, Kaizen, absolutely, and he's got all the support anybody can get from his family. But there are lots of other things that have to go into that picture to make it happen. I can't be the medicine for him. I can't be the pain patches for him. I can't do the things for him that you have to get from a pharmacy, that you have to get from a doctor, that you have to get from the hospital. All those things have to come from different places. And I know what they all are, and I wish I could snap my fingers and be like, okay, it's all there, we're all ready, gonna be all better in no time flat. Even with all those things, this is going to take months and months and months, but the potential is great that it can happen. But without it, it just simply won't. So I'm going to leave that with you guys, and I'm going to play one last song for you. Whoops, just lost that guy. I don't know why he disappeared on me. Where'd you go? Every time I hear that song, lately, of course, every time I hear it, I say, my goodness gracious me, I surely wish that we can say hallelujah, right? And, I want to really hope that someday we can. I really hope that that happens more than anything in the world. That eventually he's free from pain. Eventually he'll be able to walk again. Eventually he'll say to me, I'm glad I did this. I told you so. And now we're back to better than ever. That's really all that we can hope and pray for. But we have all of these challenges and we have to overcome them. Somehow, some way, we have to overcome them. And it just takes a lot of effort, a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of needs that, no problem, old, a lot of needs that just simply have to be met, you know. That's just what it entails. Throughout the course of every stream, I always like to look and see who's with us because many times people don't always talk and chat. And I just saw a name right now. I mentioned it before and then didn't see you were here, but want to welcome you, Cookie. We have not seen you in the longest of times. Hope you're doing well. Come on out and say hello. Let us know. Let me know. And certainly, I always tell Bernie, everybody who's been on the stream, always share every single stream many times. When he's got the energy, he'll give a little glimpse here and there on the stream to see, what was it I said and who joined and all that kind of stuff. Which is really good because he misses you guys terribly. He really does. He misses streaming. You have no idea how much because it's a major part of his life. And he misses playing, he misses interacting, he misses talking, he misses hearing your requests. But when he sees that somebody, or I mentioned to him that somebody hasn't been here for a really long time and that person pops in, it really puts a big smile on his face, big time. So Cookie Dough, letting you know that he will be very happy to know that you came in to watch the stream a little bit today. And if you have any good words, any good wishes for him, come on out and tell me what they are so I could share them with him. Always like to make sure he knows who's with us on all of the streams. Come on. I know you got something to say there, Cookie. You always had something good to say before. Let's see what you got to wish Bernie now. Can't leave this stream without saying Cookie Dough said X, Y, and Z. Oh, let me see let me check. Backpack, I do remember your name. What was it? Oh, I gotta put this on pause and say, oh, Forever Young, absolutely, sure. Oh, I gotta tell him you were here for sure. I always do. I definitely do. Absolutely, old. He knows. I gotta show him that picture. Absolutely show him that picture. Yeah, I'm pretty good with names. I don't know many times what happens, especially on the GoFundMe. We don't have your Twitch name on there, obviously. We have your real name. And unless it's somebody that comes here regularly, I don't know most of your real names. So if it's somebody that comes on GoFundMe and I don't recognize them because I don't know their real name, then obviously I don't. But on Twitch, I remember, especially from the past, I remember lots of people. I definitely will, AJ. Thank you so much. Hiya there first. just giving everybody an update first. He's home. He came back home yesterday, went to the hospital back and forth twice so far, was there for a week and then came home and then went back the next day. And right now he's got a catheter, Foley catheter, because he can't urinate on his own. And he's got a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff going on. And, you know, we got to hope that over time things get better. Don't know how long it's going to take, but we just need so much stuff in order to make it happen. And not much we can do except just wait. Not just, you know, waiting is very, very hard to do. I know it's very hard for me to do. I don't have much patience to wait. What about the rest of you? Especially when we're talking about health. That's very hard. Very, very hard. But we don't have a choice. We don't. But we really cannot, I really cannot say it more than enough that, as I mentioned before, guys, all of these expenses are extraordinary. And we have to make it happen. I keep saying the same thing, same message, same scenario, keep letting everybody know we've got to make it happen. Yeah. How are you feeling first? How are things going with you? Let me know. How are you feeling? Things any better? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can certainly hear that and certainly identify with that. But hopefully soon things will turn around and you'll be on a brighter road. I hope so. I really do. Of course, first. Absolutely. Always, always, always will. All right, guys. I better go attend to him. Max is with him right now. Got to go probably empty out that Foley bag right now. I have a lot of them now too. First, I hear you. I hear you. All right, guys, I better go check them out. So I will see you whenever the opportunity arises that I can, and can. Not quite sure when that'll be, because I always have to have somebody by his side. Can't leave him unattended. But I want to thank those of you that were here with me today and those of you that watched the VOD. And I hope to see you again real soon, hopefully with some more better news. See you next time, all.